I've been burnt once or twice in the market, and but particularly since I've been a member of Congress, one of the things that I recall greatly was the financial crises in 2008. And it is, we thought that opening the market up, where people had adjustable rate mortgages, et cetera, they were able to get into the market, people who may not have been before, but a lot of disclosure had not happened. So they didn't look, nor was there was no documents to look at what their incomes were or anything of that nature. So when those adjustable rates happened, many individuals lost their homes. Many people who bought those mortgages or who initially agreed to those mortgages sold them immediately because they did know that the people would not be able to afford them and they would default shortly thereafter. Now, so I understand your model of trying to get more people, more democratization, but that means that there's now greater responsibility of ensuring that your customers have all of the information they need to assess riskier trades. Now, for me, the information that has to be digestible and accessible. Now, one of the problems I have, for example, you're allowing up to $1,000 to buy stocks on margin. And borrowing on margin is risky. So how do you disclose this? How do you make determination of individuals who are not the sophisticated investors and allowing them to buy these risky stocks that are on margin?
Thank you, Congressman, for the opportunity to address that. Let me set the stage a little bit by saying that about 2% of our customers borrow on margin. About 13% on a monthly basis perform an options transaction, and a much smaller number, around 3%, perform a multi-leg options transaction. So the vast majority of our customers are engaging in buy and hold activities and long-term investing on our platform. Now, to clarify your point on the $1,000 margin, that's actually something that we refer to as Robinhood Instant. And it's provided as a courtesy. When a customer initiates a deposit, we allow them access to up to $1,000 of that deposit immediately, similar to how if you deposit a check at a bank, as a courtesy, they might provide access to those funds or a portion of them before that check clears. As for margin specifically, borrowing money on margin, the rules are very ironclad industry-wide. Obviously, Robinhood Securities conforms to all the applicable rules. And Robinhood's product is in many ways more restrictive than that of our competitors because in order to even qualify for borrowing on margin, you have to be a Robinhood Gold customer, which involves paying $5 a month for the service.
So I think that you have, you say that everything is restrictive. But when you are going after the less sophisticated investor, it's more than that. There's a greater responsibility that you have because they have they could lose, and when they lose, it could make a determination of whether or not they can pay their mortgage or their rent or not, and they could be taken advantage of. Oftentimes, we find in the financial industry, it is those that have the least that are really taken advantage of. So the big guys, it becomes a reverse Robin Hood situation, which really concerns me. Let me get to this real quick because there was just something else that you said in regards to liquidity, and you said that you didn't borrow the money because you needed it at the time, but that then you later in a question you asked that you raised the additional money because I want to know how you spent the money for future situations, which means to me that you did have a liquidity problem or you anticipated possibly having a liquidity problem or would have one in future transactions. Could you, what's the deal there?
I appreciate that question. I stand by what I said. Robinhood was able to meet our deposit requirements. We were in compliance with firm net capital obligations throughout the period. And that additional capital, the $3.4 billion, wasn't to service our requirements. It was entirely to prepare for a future even greater black swan event and to unrestrict and remove restrictions on the trading and the buying of these securities.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.